It's been a year and a half since a nasty storm came through my neighborhood. That storm took down my DX Commander Nebula. I got a replacement mast, but the problem was with me, didn't do a very good job of setting up the mast, the replacement mast, and it means I need to put up a new mast. So I have already ordered and, as a matter of fact, received a replacement new mast from DX Commander. I'm gonna do the assembly a little bit different. Cal's instructions basically tell you to get a buddy and for you to play tug of war with the mast. And while that works, it's kind of difficult on a mast that large and that heavy. So let me show you the trick that I'm using for this go around for extending this mast and getting it set so that I can put it up in my yard again. So this is the mast as you get it. All of the sections of the mast are nested inside of each other, and all you have to do is just pull the first section out and start pulling, right? So I'm going to play tug of war 2 or 3 sections at a time. With the heavier pieces, I'm going to start with just 2 sections because these heavier pieces are harder to manage. Once I get further down the mast, it'll be 3 or 4 at a time. So there we have it. We are ready to start playing tug of war. Once I have all these sections extended, then I'll play tug of war between the sets of sections. Then I'm going to put them all together and get them ready to go outside. Now my garage is not as long as this entire mast, so part of the assembly is going to have to happen outside. It's fall in northern Indiana, it's cold out there, so I'm going to do as much as I can inside because, you know, not as cold and I can wear short sleeves and lightweight pants. So I have recruited my lovely assistant to help me play tug of war section by section inside of the garage. So lovely assistant, if you could, grab that section. We're gonna do the same thing we used to do outside, inside. On the count of 3, we're both gonna pull really, really hard. The idea is that instead of us pulling and pulling and pulling, we're just making one really hard pull and then checking. Ready? So it's 1, 2, 3, pull. Ready? 1, 2, 3, pull. Okay. Now let's see if we can get any more out of it. Nope, okay. That is so much easier to manage than the entire weight of the mast. Let's do it on the other 2 sections that we have here. Would you say that's a whole lot easier than the other way we've been doing it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just looking, basically I'm looking for the transition of the paint. You have really smooth paint. And you know what, let's go to the camera and show that so how you can tell that you're at the limit of where you really need to be is if you look in this section of the mast is really pretty shiny paint, and as you get to the portion that is meant for traction and to make sure that it sticks, it's a little rougher. Here is the end of the painted area, and you can see the transition happens, oh, I don't know, that's maybe a foot before, maybe 10 inches before. In that area is where we're wanting to be. We're wanting to be as close to this unpainted section as possible. We don't want to get to the unpainted section because if we get there, then we went too far. So now you see the technique that I'm using. I'm gonna do the same thing outside. We're gonna get everything assembled, then I'll put the antenna back together and put it back up. So the weather's turned out to be really good, and I decided to let the pieces that I've already assembled properly dry inside, waiting on a nice day like today. And I went to assemble this thing, and as you can see, well, I'll show you here now. This ain't supposed to quite happen. You're not supposed to be able to pull it through on the other end of a section. I contacted DX Engineering and they said, no problem. Collapse the thing, send it back to us. And I'm like, I can't, I glued it. So I contacted Cal on DX Commander's Discord. They have a sub-channel in there for support for the DX Commander stuff. And sure enough, there's a fix for it. Let me show you. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mask the section that I want to work with. And now that I have a bit of masking tape covering the upper section of it, I'm going to double up the masking tape. So the idea is I'm going to do exactly what Callum said to do on his support forum. So I'm going to get some CA glue. You know the stuff, right? I'm not going to use the trade name for it, but you know that there's a trademark for it. You know the one I'm talking about. And I'm gonna put it on the untreated section here, and then I'm gonna use some CA glue activator and get it to dry quickly so that hopefully I can get this whole thing assembled and put up today. Let's see. So first things first, test. I'm not gonna test on my actual workpiece. I'm gonna test over here to make sure that what I have for glue and what I have for activator actually work together. Okay? Now, I'm taking my wife's word that this is the CA glue. I have no idea. I didn't see the packaging and it doesn't say on the back. So there we go. We have a little bit of CA glue on some piece of wood, and I'm gonna spray some activator on it. And now I'm gonna use a piece of plastic from the CA glue cap to see if it's made it set or not. Nope, it's not setting. You spread it thinner and spray it again and see if it sets. Now, CA glue activator is supposed to set this stuff immediately, and it's still tacky. So I'm gonna guess that is not CA glue. Let me go inside and see if I can find some CA glue. Now this stuff I know for a fact is CA glue because it says as much on the label. So let's try it over here. The other stuff is still very much flowing. Let's see if this stuff flows at all. Oh, it still flows, but it has a crust to it. I'm just spreading what I had so that I can build a layer. Hit it with some activator here. Wow, you can, look at that. It's smoked up. Now I'm gonna go find some sandpaper so I can smooth that off a little bit before trying to make this happen. And with any luck, that's all I need to do to get that to not slip through this on the next attempt. Suppose I can try it here. The beginning of the section registers in, but it won't slide in. So hopefully that's all I need to get this puppy assembled, and I can get my Nebula back online. I'm gonna take this masking tape off. Let me go enlist my trusty YL assistant, and I'll come back and we'll yank on this thing and see if we can get it to stick this time. All right, so I have my trusty assistant over here. She's not on camera, her hand's on camera. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this section to stick this time. I might have gone a little too much with that buildup. Let's see. Oh yeah, I went. And that's why we test. I apparently built it a little too much because it didn't even go half the section before it got stuck. I'm gonna back this whole thing out, sand it a little bit more, and try it again. Okay, so I sanded it a bit with 80 grit paper because the 220 grit paper that I had was not enough. Let's give that one more try. All right, so let's see how much is exposed to the prior section. That's 4 foot 10 inches. Let's see how much is exposed to this section. It should be close to that. 3 foot 11 inches. I still have over a foot. Let me check on the next section and see how much is on the next section. Okay, so the next section has 5 feet of exposure. So with just barely 4 feet on here, I need to back that out again and sand some more. So I sanded it some more. I did measure that section by itself. It is 65 inches long. So as long as I expose, I don't know, 58 inches of it, I'll be happy. Trusty assistant, now that you have gloves, would you? All right, here we go. Remember, I'm gonna be pulling really hard on this, so hold on to it like it matters. Ready? And that looks very promising. Let's see how much we have exposed here. 60 inches. Well, 59 3/4. I am perfectly happy with that. I'm going to add a bead of CA glue to that joint, and once it sets, I'll finish assembling the antenna. So there you have it. Nebula Mast Redux is what I'm gonna call this. I believe that I have now fixed my personal problems with my deployment of the Nebula Mast. The only real downside to what I've done is that if I ever decide to be quite so foolish as to move from where I live, I'm gonna have to buy a new mast. Yeah, probably. I just don't know how I can fit 60 foot of mast in a move. But that's a problem for hopefully never, right? Because I don't have any intention of moving from where I'm at. We'll catch you guys on the next one. 7-3.